Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, I love a little bit of jazz just to keep us smooth. Another time to share with you on Crypto Corner and just living with crypto. Today we have the pleasure and the honor of being able to sit down with the author and entrepreneur himself, Mr. Cornell Green. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing wonderful, Keisha. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, amazing. I am so super excited to have you on today. First of all, I mean, for people that do not know you, if you will, just share a little bit about yourself with everyone out there today.
Okay. I am Cornell Green, as you said. My company is Community IT Solutions. I have been an independent technology professional for the past 10 years. I have been working in the field of technology since 1993. I formed my business 10 years ago as a result of the subprime mortgage meltdown, where I lost the best job that I ever had, a six-figure job where I was network manager for an architectural design firm that had such luminaries as Steven Spielberg, Jerry Seinfeld, the United Nations, Yale University, and the W Hotel chain as private clients. I used to joke that my employers are millionaires and their customers are billionaires, so I won't get laid off unless the entire economy crashes. And then in 2009, the entire economy crashed. Be careful what you say out loud. So I shot my resume around for a few months. The first offer wanted me to be network administrator, database administrator, IT manager, which is why I was IT manager. I misspoke earlier, and wanted me to be help desk operator for 80% of the one salary I was making as IT manager for the architectural firm. So I rejected. I was like, come on, that's crazy. You must be nuts. The next three job offers that came in were just like that. So I realized, oh, wait, that's where the market is. And I if I got to work that hard, I got to work for myself. And so I started my own business, not out of any desire or drive to be independent or whatever. Like I said, I had a job I loved. I looked forward to going to work. I woke up on Mondays, eager to go to work. I was making more money than I'd ever imagined. And unfortunately, as I say in the introductory chapter to my book, Do Business Better, Why Small Businesses Fail and How Not to, it's the title of the book. The first 2 years, 2 years of steady referrals almost ruined my business. That's the title of the chapter. Now, why do I say that? Because before I got laid off from my last job, I got my first referral for a private client. And I got a lot of work from them. And I got referrals from that client. And I got steady work from that. In fact, I got referrals from referrals. And for 2 years, the phone rang off the hook. So I thought, well, this is great, right? This is how it's supposed to go. You answer the phone, you do the work, you get the money, life is good. Except after 2 years, the phone stopped ringing. And then I realized, oh, wait a minute. First of all, two things. A, I didn't know how to make the phone ring. And I realized that over the past 2 years, I was not doing business. I was doing work. Because business is not being good at something, which I was almost 20 years. Business is being able to sell that something that you're good at. Like I say, when I used to work with not-for-profits like Operation Hope, I used to do the introductory session of their 12-week entrepreneurial training program. And I would do the first session of their 12 weeks, and I would attend all their graduations. So I would say to everyone that all business is sales. And of course, some people would look at me like, "Well, no, I'm an architect, I'm a photographer, I'm a hairdresser." It's like, what? See, I understand that's what you think the business you're in, but actually, there's only one business, and that business is sales. I can prove it in 3 simple steps. It's not my opinion; it's math. Step 1: no sales, no money. Step 2: no money, you're out of business. And well, actually, that only took 2 steps. So now, of course, this is not. This is not to say that we are only driven by money, or that money is what motivates us, or that we're materialists, or whatever people hear when I say that. But it's a simple fact that if we don't get paid for what we do, we can't do it. And money is the coin of the realm, if you pardon the pun. If you come up with a better system, I'm there with you. But my
Oh,
landlord, my utility, my ISP, which enables us to connect on this stream right now, they seem to want money. So
yeah,
unless I can come up with now, as we've discussed in the past, it's nothing more than an exchange of value between
absolutely.
two or more human beings. I have something that's of value to you, and in exchange for you getting that value for me, you give me something of value, which is a cipher, a placeholder. Once upon a time, we directly bartered. I had some goats, you had some eggs, but maybe you didn't want eggs. Or maybe I didn't want eggs. You didn't want goat meat. So maybe we found somebody who had some milk. So you traded your eggs for the milk and then traded me the milk for the goats. But then maybe I didn't want either eggs or, and so it got a little complicated. And so once we couldn't directly barter with each other, we had a substitute that said this is equal to X amount of bartering, this thing, this placeholder. And that's what money is. Now, we can get caught up in thinking that money's the end game or the end product. Oh, look at me, I got a bunch of paper. But as I say to people, if I gave you a briefcase full of $100 bills that was $1 million and I put you on a good island, do you have anything of value?
Mm.
No, you can't eat it. If you burnt the money, it's only going to make about 20 minutes of heat. So you better use it as kindling to build a real fire. You might make some clothes out of it because American paper money is actually cotton and linen. That's why you can wash it and it doesn't disintegrate. But other than that, it's not of any value. So it's the real focus on the value that is the thing. So when I say all business is sales, I'm not saying all business is money. I'm saying all business is value, is that value exchange.
Now you're gonna make me go into two, maybe three different areas. And I've got a couple questions I
Okay.
definitely want to ask. But because you said that about money, and we love crypto here, kind of
Yes.
kind of give us your take. I mean, you've been in, as they call it, the game. You've been in the game, you've been in the
Yes.
arena for quite some time. And you talked about the bartering, you talked about the exchange, you talked about the value. So you've seen things change. So, what is your
Yes.
view as, an author, a published author, and an entrepreneur that's been out here for a while? Um, what is your view on the way that money and the economy and things have started to shift with, gone to digital money, now there's crypto and being an entrepreneur and all this change. What are your views on the way that money and the shift has been changed now with Bitcoin and crypto and everything that's moving forward today?
Okay. I think that what we call digital currency, first of all, what we call blockchain-based digital currency is just a natural evolution of where we've been going. Because if people think about it, we've been using digital currency for decades. I rarely have any actual physical currency on me because I invoice my clients with a digital invoice. They pay me with what I call the 16 magic digits, their credit or debit card, and then the money is exchanged from their account to my account. Back in the days before the pandemic shutdown, when we were able to ride the subway here in New York City, I would feel a little bad when, say, that we had usually young gentlemen who are walking around and they're selling candy bars. And sometimes I might be a little hungry. I might want a candy bar, except I don't have any money. They don't have a card swiper on them, and I don't have any dollar bills in my pocket to be able to give it to them. Now, what I find interesting and fascinating, especially as a technology professional, that I find intriguing about blockchain-based digital currency is that it takes the bank as placeholder out of the equation. That it gives you the ability to control the actual currency of exchange because you don't have to deal in US dollars or yen or Deutschmarks or rubles or whatever have you. You say, here is the exchange of value. If you think about it, in a lot of ways, it reduces it to the pure exchange of value. Because I say, here's whether it's Bitcoin or whether it's Ethereum or whatever have you, it's still just an exchange of value between the parties involved in the exchange. And you say, you know what, I don't need Bank of America or Hang Seng Bank of China or
Right.
whoever to broker that for me. We can just deal directly with each other. Just as the thing about the internet, I mean, okay, we still need to go through the pipeline but I don't have to deal with AT&T or Sprint or whoever. Right now, we're just dealing with each other. Okay, I got an internet service provider, you got an internet service provider, but neither of them are giving us permission to communicate. They're just carrying the electrons that have us
Right.
connect together. And we don't have to go to a studio or whatever have you. We're just here. And we've got multiple ways we can communicate. Right now, we're here on StreamYard. We could be on Google Hangouts. We could be on Facebook. We could be on FaceTime through Apple. We could be on any number of things. So I think that it's a great advantage to people to liberate themselves. Now, I must admit, there are blockchain digital currency enthusiasts who like to throw around the term fiat currency as opposed to what they're distinguishing as the currency they're exchanging. My take, and we've had conversation in the past, my take is that all currency and value exchange are fiat, because fiat simply means that it's arbitrarily described by someone else. For example, there are those who say, well, get out of fiat currency and get into gold in case the currency collapses. And it's certainly possible, although I don't consider it very probable at this point, even despite the pandemic. But even the value of gold is a fiat, because gold is only worth what the gold exchanges say they're worth. So that is as arbitrarily determined as what American money is worth, or the Deutschmark, or the ruble, or the yen, or whoever, or whoever. For example, if I have a brick of gold, I can't go to McDonald's and buy a quarter pounder with cheese with it. What, am I going to take off a knife and slice off a couple of slivers? How many slivers should I slice off to pay for that? I'm still ultimately going to have to turn it into the fiat currency that I have to spend. Now, that's if I'm thinking of, tens of dollars. If I'm thinking about long-term investments, if I'm thinking about stacking things up into money that's going to last over time, tens and hundreds or thousands or millions of dollars, yeah, then I could see that you want to get yourself into something a little more, I don't necessarily want to say stable, but durable. And in that case, I think something like gold or diamonds, something that is more universally accepted as a unit of value over time.
A big store.
I can go to exactly, because I can go to any country in the world and I can put a brick of gold on somebody's desk and they're going to give me whatever the fiat coin of the realm is where I'm at. Now, there might be some places where they might not accept the paper money for whatever. It might be political reasons. For example, now, as we're talking here in November of 2020, things are a little prickly between the United States and China, for example. And it's not that China doesn't have a strong currency, but people may be discouraged from doing business with China and therefore are discouraged from doing business in Chinese currency. But if someone from China gave me a significant amount of gold, there's nothing and no one who could forbid me from taking that. And if I did business with this Chinese person or business in terms of Bitcoin or Ethereum, there's no one that can tell me that I can't turn that into value that I can exchange.
Absolutely.
I know that's a bit of a long-winded answer, but that's my take on it.
No, I think that was beautifully said. I mean, and I think I'd have to agree with you. From the McDonald's all the way to to China and anywhere else. I mean, like you said, you stick a brick of gold in my face or in my hands, and I'll take it. I'll take it. And I think that certainly you went to a car dealer, they take it.
Yeah.
Now they'll figure out how they can liquidate it later.
Exactly. But once they determine that that's real gold, they'll make it work. And that's anywhere on the planet. They will find a way.
Yes. Precious metals are definitely over time are a great store of wealth, and you can't go wrong. Now, we have talked in times past, and there's something you've mentioned that I definitely would love for you to share. I think this is going to get us to a couple other points that I'd love for you to make. You've talked about drawing the map. Could you share with our viewers what is drawing the map? I think this really excites me.
There are three ways of getting the word out. Remember, we were talking about value. So ultimately, it comes down to value. And as I mentioned, I've done work in the past with not-for-profits such as Operation Hope, Harlem Business Alliance, and other business of that nature. So there are three channels of communicating value that tend to sort of be conflated and confused with each other, and that is marketing, advertising, and promotion. A lot of people tend to think they're the same things. So the way I break it down and why I have the acronym MAP is that you market your brand, you advertise your product, and you promote your business. Now, what am I talking about in these distinctions? And especially distinguishing between marketing and advertising. Well, your brand is not, this is not my brand. Okay. This is my business name, and this is a logo I created to community solutions. My brand is the value that I present to my clients and customers, which is that I create for them an online platform where they can communicate the value to their customers and clients, and they can answer what I call the three fundamental business questions, which is who is your target market? What is your unique value proposition? And what is your call to action? Now, advertising your product as distinguished to marketing your brand, and marketing comes before advertising, is that people don't buy products. They buy brands. You don't buy sneakers, you buy Nikes. You don't buy a car, you buy a Mercedes. You don't buy cigarettes, you buy Camels or Marlboros. You don't buy liquor, you buy Grey Goose or Kettle One or Jack Daniels or Chivas Regal. So first you have to ask, well, who are you? What is the brand that I'm going to do business with? See, everyone can build a website, but once people know that Community Solutions is going to help you engage in what I call conversational marketing, which is communicating the value of your brand, your potential customer, then that's what's going to distinguish me from just somebody else who can throw up 5 nice pages in a contact form. Finally, promoting your business comes last, because the promotion is not to get people to buy your product. This is a thing that people find confusing, which is why they don't do promotion effectively. Promotion is to maintain the sizzle, to keep you top of mind amongst the people you've already done business with. And this is why when I say, when you give promotional items, don't give cheap tchotchke with your brand on it. Nothing is worse than a $2 pen. And for the love of all that's holy and sacred, no more keychains. Please don't give somebody a keychain with your logo on it. Any grown-up person who's carrying keys already has something that they're putting their keys on. All that's going to happen with your keychain is going to end up in a drawer or in a garbage can.
No,
Okay?
wait.
You want to
Is a
give
useful
somebody...
pen okay? Is the pen okay? Because we use pens. Is a pen okay?
Okay. Here's the thing. If you want to give somebody a pen, you don't have to give them a Mont Blanc, okay? But give them a nice pen, not a pen like the one you just showed me. Give them a nice metal and plastic pen that's got a good weight. And first of all, give a pen to a person that writes extensively, rather than, what I call playing the kalimba type of thumbs, and give them a pen that feels good in the hand, that has a nice grip and a smooth ink flow. Why? Because they're going to use that pen, and B, they're going to chop your fingers off if you try to take that pen.
They'll keep
Just
it.
as you give quality, you give quality food to a foodie, you want to give a quality pen to someone who is a writer. Because the purpose of promotional item is not to display your logo. It's to keep your logo in front of the person you've already done business to remind them of the value they've already gotten. So when it comes time for them to consider consuming your services again, they're going to prefer you over a competitor. Or when it comes time for them to make a referral for the services you provide, you're going to be right there in their hand, on their desk. For example, one of the best promotional items I ever heard of was a quality golfing umbrella with the logo both in both directions, so that it's readable from the inside of the umbrella and outside the umbrella. Okay. Why? Because people who golf in the sun are going to carry a golfing umbrella, and they're going to open it up, and from under the umbrella they're going to see your logo, and from outside the umbrella other people are going to see your logo, and it's going to be something that they're going to use. And if it's a quality umbrella, again, they're not going to let somebody take that away. You put your logo on a plastic pen, and that pen's going to go, because who cares about a plastic pen? It's just another pen. It's another big Parker, whatever have you. So put and here's the final thing I'll say about promotional items. The quality of the tchotchke that you put your logo on represents the quality of what you think about your business. You put your logo on some cheap piece of plastic, you're giving the message that you're cheap. brand. And that's not the message you put out there. You don't just want to come up with something that costs 50 cents a dozen that you can just give away because you're saying, I'm cheap. I'm not of value. Because you don't want to give promotional items are not giveaways. This is why I have the marketing, advertising, and promotion. I say you market your brand, you advertise your business, you promote you market your brand, you advertise your product, and you promote your business. You want to promote your business. So you pretty much only, and this is something people aren't normally told about promotional items, and especially the people who sell branded gear, they want you to buy as much crap as possible. I say no, buy fewer promotional items of higher quality and only give them to people who are already quality valued customers of yours. Okay. Because first of all, you're saying, this is how much I value your business, and I'm giving you something of value. And I want you to always remember the positive experience you had with me as a brand. That's the purpose of promotion. It's not an advertisement, which is why I distinguish it. Promotional items aren't to advertise your business. That's why people put them on like, for example, a wall calendar is good. Why? Because people who actually use wall calendars are going to use the calendar. They're going to put it up on their wall. You're going to have nice things. They're going to write information in. I personally use a digital calendar, so that's why a wall calendar wouldn't be of value to me. But there are people, they use them. And especially if it's don't give them a cheap one. Put it on quality paper. Have quality images on it. Make sure that all the inks, the registering, everything is cool. Don't just grind it out as cheaply as possible. Because again, you're saying that not only are you saying that your brand is cheap, you're saying that your client is of low value to you because you didn't take the time to invest in a promotional item that reflected the value that client is for you.
I think that was a thin layer of sizzle, but a nice chunk of steak that the entrepreneurs got. Listen, I have my pen from my credit union and I'm taking notes. Okay. But listen,
right.
That leads me to want to ask another question. So what would you say is the fundamental concept of business? What would that look like? What would you say if you were going to package or unpack that?
Again, the theme of the conversation is value. I've developed over time what I call my essential fundamental concept of business, which I call small business CPR. And it's not just because it's an acronym that spells out CPR, but like CPR, cardiopulmonary rented lips, cardiopulmonary resuscitation. These are the three fundamentals that are vital to keep your business alive. And the C stands for consistency, consistent value. Because again, we're talking about value. Whatever it is that you offer your customers and clients, whether it's a physical good or an intangible service, it must be of consistent value. You can't fluctuate. It can't sometimes be good and sometimes be shoddy. You can't be on time and on point today and then kind of wishy-washy and so-so tomorrow, because that's not going to get the point. And it must be consistent. Now, I've used the example in the past of Dunkin' Donuts. Now, I like Dunkin' Donuts chocolate cake donuts. Okay. I like them a little too much. That's why I'm glad you only see me from the waist up, because it's a little too obvious how much I like Dunkin' Donuts chocolate cake donuts. But the thing is, no matter when I go to Dunkin' Donuts, whether it's a Monday or a Wednesday, whether it's a morning and afternoon, that chocolate cake donut is going to be of consistent quality. The value of that donut to me is the quality of the taste, the texture, the flavor, the aroma. It's always going to be the same. The P in small business CPR stands for predictability, predictable delivery. It's not enough to have consistent value if you can't predictably deliver it. Now, staying on the theme of baked goods for a while, let's say that you bake from home and you make the best lemon meringue pies that anybody in the 48 contiguous states has ever tasted. And you bake one for a friend and they say, oh my goodness, you got to get Keisha's lemon meringue pie. There is none better. And all of a sudden you start getting recommendations, and now you got a little baking business. And so somebody says, hey, I need 20 lemon meringue pies for a party. And you say, yeah, okay, I'll get them to you. And you get it to them 2 days after the party's held.
Oh.
And it's like, well, yeah, these are great, but you know what? I needed the I needed the lemon meringue pies when I needed them. I needed them from a party. And say, well, my pies are always good, but I get to it when I get to it. That's like showing up to a store and sadly, I have seen stores here in the New York market that kind of open when they feel like opening. I'm living
Yeah.
here in the Queensboro of New York, and there is a really excellent soul seafood restaurant within walking distance of where I live. But I've been there sometimes in the afternoon, and despite what the hours on their door says, I show up there and they're still the gates only half open. They haven't started up yet. Now,
Oh,
that's not a way for doing business. When your hours say that you're open from 9 o'clock to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, if I show up 9:02, those doors are supposed to be open, and I'm supposed to be able to do business. Not 9:05, not 9:15, not when you feel like getting there. You have to be predictable. Otherwise, I don't care how consistently you make that whiting sandwich. If I can't predictably get it when I want it, I'm gonna go somewhere else. I might just go to McDonald's. Their sandwiches aren't anywhere better than yours, but you know what? At 9:02, or
get
actually
it.
11:02, because they're still serving breakfast, they will have that fish sandwich ready for me. Okay, always. Anytime I show up at 11:02, it's going to be there. The final R, the R in CPR stands for replication. So you've got the consistent value. Okay, you're always going to make that chocolate cake donut, that whiting fish sandwich, that website. You're going to do it consistently. It's going to be of a consistent value every time, and predictably, I know that when I need that consistent value, you're going to predictably deliver it to me. This is where most small businesses stay small and they're never able to grow. And it's they get caught up with what I call the founder's conundrum. There's only one person that knows how to predictably deliver that consistent value.
Hmm.
Everyone else is a support team. See, most businesses don't actually have a business. They have a specialist with a support staff around them. They don't have a business. A business, I should be able to step away from that business and the product, the service should still be able to be delivered because I have replicated the means of predictably delivering that consistent value. For example, you've all heard of Robert Kiyosaki, right? Author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. In the past, I have gone to 2 Rich Dad, Poor Dad presentations in a live event. Neither time was Robert Kiyosaki the one on stage, but the Rich Dad, Poor Dad message was delivered because he's now got a team of people who are qualified to travel the country and the world and deliver his Rich Dad replicated the method of delivering his thing. Now, on the other hand, here's a guy he's scaled up in terms of his value, right? But Tony Robbins, for example, it's always Tony Robbins on the stage. As far as I know, I could be wrong in this, but he's the brand. Now, what he charges is to the point where he's not worrying about it. But if you're making shoes or shirts or shortcake, eventually you're going to want to replicate it. And of course, one of the finest examples of replication, whether you like the quality of their product or not, is McDonald's. I remember speaking of my book when I published it in 2016. That year, I was also flown to France to speak in a 2 day a symposium on entrepreneurship in a city about 20 miles outside of Paris, Saint Denis, at the Stade de France, a stadium that was built in the 90s for the World Cup, and this is where the symposium was held. And next to the hotel that I was staying in was a McDonald's. So I'm in France now. I'm across the and the French fries tasted the same as the French fries over here in the United States at any McDonald's I've ever been to. The cheeseburger, the quarter pounder with cheese, the Le Royale with cheese, the filet of fish sandwich, they all tasted the same. Now, what was interesting is you could buy beer in a McDonald's, which you can't do here in the United States. Back when I was consuming alcohol, but they replicated the method of predictably bring that consistent value. Now, for anyone who likes McDonald's French fries, there is a distinct taste and flavor and texture to a McDonald's French fries. They're not Burger King French fries. They're not Arby's. They're not Wendy's.
That is
They're
so
not
true.
Sonic. They're not Shake Shack. They're not anybody else's French fries. And when you are in the mood, that just a certain amount of saltiness, they're thin, but they're not brittle. They're just, especially when they're fresh and hot, you know.
Mm.
And when your palate is one, in a wrap itself around a McDonald's French fries. You are able to go into any McDonald's on the planet, and those French fries are going to predictably be of a consistent taste, flavor, quality, value, because they've replicated the method to the point that, anybody, a half-drunk 17-year-old can stumble into a McDonald's, at the top of their shift, because you open up a bag of French fries, you pour it into the basket, you drop it into the cooking oil, which is heated up to a certain temperature, you press the button. When the button beeps, you take them out, take off the grease, you dump it into the tray, you take a squeezer full of salt, 1, 2, 3 squeezes, you sift them in the salt, and you're done. It has nothing to do with your ability to cook, heat, any arbitrary aspect. They've replicated that method. So all businesses, in order to scale, have to learn how to replicate what they do. Now, some businesses aren't looking to scale, so they can stop at CP. They can have consistent value, and they can predictably deliver that, and that's fine. For most businesses that want to either scale up or scale out, you don't have to have more than one location. But let's say you want to be able to take a break, take a vacation. Because it's kind of interesting. When I first decided I was going to go independent, 10 years ago in 2010, the first 3 people I told about it actually all said the same thing, which is like, oh, you're going to work for yourself? That means you can take a vacation anytime you want to. First of all, I'm like, wait a minute, why is the first thing you think of when I tell you I'm going to start a business that I take and not work? That doesn't make any sense. And secondly, no, it doesn't mean I can take a vacation anytime I want. It means I don't have any vacations, because it's only a vacation if somebody is paying you while you're not there. What you're saying is I can just choose not to work. Why would I do that when I'm just starting a business? I'm going to have to work 7 days a week. That doesn't make any sense. Now, the only way I could take a vacation is if I replicated the means by which I deliver my services to my clients, so that somebody else is doing it, while I'm not there. Or if I develop a business model that doesn't require me to sit there behind the keys of my laptop and produce a product. And that's why, as we've discussed in private conversations, I'm working on launching my online education website, and looking to launch my first online course, which I call Get Paid Faster, which is aimed at basically solo entrepreneurs and small businesses, but specifically service-based entrepreneurs, who I found the biggest problem they have is getting paid after they do the work. They find the customers, they close the deal, they sign the contract, they do the work, and then they have to spend weeks or months chasing their money to get paid.
Having said that, and I think that's huge, because for a lot of new entrepreneurs, or even entrepreneurs in their first, anywhere from 1 to 3 or 1 to 5 years, getting paid is super important. All of us need to get paid and continue to get paid, no matter what type of entrepreneur you are, right? Especially after that duplication,
I think
that's all in my wheelhouse, right?
Yeah.
So what is the
I think
most
that's important no matter how long
aspect?
you've been in business.
Well, true that, but I'm saying, when you really get started off, I mean, you got to keep it going, or you're right back into just over broke, right? You got to go back to the job, right? So,
yes, indeed.
What's the most important aspect of entrepreneurship? If you brought everything together and you looked at it, what would you say is the most important aspect of entrepreneurship?
Well, actually, germane to your question and the way that it's phrased, I would have to say that the most important, to me at least, the most important aspect of entrepreneurship is that you have control over your economic destiny and future.
Ooh,
That you have the ability to literally make your own money. Now, I am not making anywhere near what I was making at my last full-time job, because that was over $100,000 a year, and I'm not clocking any years like that. But unlike my last salaried position, where I was dependent on my employers getting architectural contracts and designing buildings for people, every dollar and dime that I make from the sweat of my brow and the force of my will and my ability to create value for my customers and clients. I create that money. So if I want to make more money, I either get more clients, I diversify my service offerings, or I increase the value of the services that I offer. All of that is in my control. Now, that's the personal aspect of controlling economic need, but that's not where I limit what I consider to be the greatest value of entrepreneurship. why I have chosen, because when I went into business for myself, remember my background was corporate IT. I started in 1993 doing systems administration for Lehman Brothers. As like I say, it's not my fault. You know, I did my job with Lehman Brothers. The fact that they went under has nothing to do with how we tech people handle their technology. You know, I because I say Lehman Brothers, especially a few years ago, I would say that and people look at me. I was like, no, I didn't do that. Don't look at me like
That
that.
wasn't.
You know, they did that to themselves. Don't come at me like that. During the transition from the late 90s into the aughts, I worked at Payne Webber during the year 2000 conversion. And yes, that was a thing. We worked overtime for 3.5 years to make sure Y2K wasn't a disaster. You know, um, so my experience has mostly been corporate level IT. When I went independent, I made a conscious decision to focus as my market to be solo entrepreneurs and businesses with fewer than 10 total staff size in business for more than 2, but fewer than, say, 5 to 7 years. Now, I could be making what I made in corporate IT or more if I did what most people of my peer group did, which is to go for the 50, 100, 200, 500 headcount businesses and do mid-level corporate level IT. So why did I make the choice that I made? So some would say my detriment. Because when you support a solo entrepreneur or small business, the money that you enable them to make goes directly to support families and to build communities. That money does not go to the Cayman Islands or to Ireland or somewhere as a tax shelter. That goes to put shoes on feet, food on table, to pay dentist bills, mortgages, and college tuitions. So by supporting entrepreneurs and by encouraging and enabling entrepreneurs to be as successfully as possible, that is how I can make true, positive, permanent change in humanity. I refer to myself, you've heard me use the term several times in our past conversation, I refer to myself as a born-again capitalist. Now, what do I mean by that? I don't see a separation. I don't see a opposition between being a decent human being and being a successful capitalist business person. In fact, I see them as not only being complementary, I see them as being necessary. You know, I am successful as a capitalist and as a business person because at the center of what I do is my humanity, is that I am looking to support people. You know, now I have something, I just want to get into this point. I have
Yeah.
peers who, and you've heard this all the time. You've seen the the advertisements in your Facebook timeline, whatever have you. It's like, hey, don't waste your time with the small ticket clients. You know, develop a funnel that'll get you those big ticket clients. I'll show you how to get those clients that you can charge $5, $10, $15,000 per client. And $10,000, $15,000 clients are worth more than $1,500 clients. And mathematically, this is true. But I have two objections to that. First of all, look, anybody that pays me $15,000 just hired me. Because if I paid you $15,000, you better answer that phone on the second ring. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And I'm not trying to have 10 bosses who have employed me, but they're not paying me any benefits. I'm not trying to work that hard for any one person. But
Right.
secondly, and here's the thing in the context of answering your question that really bothers me about that, and I'm not arguing with them. Like I say, some of these people who endorse this concept, I know personally, and they're good people and they're decent human beings. My problem with that is that when you're telling me to go for the big ticket client, you're telling me to step over the small ticket client. And
Hmm.
if everybody is being trained to only focus on the big ticket client, who's taking care of the little ticket clients? How are they ever going to get to be big ticket if everybody's ignoring them in the gold rush to chase after the people who are already successful and already have the money?
Exactly.
I know that there were things I needed to learn in the past 10 years of being independent. Like I said, I spent 2 years doing it wrong because I didn't understand not only consistency, predictability, and replication, the fundamentals of business success, but also what I didn't understand was what are the three fundamental business questions to be asked and answered. And those are, who is your target market? What is your unique value proposition? And what is your call to action? Or simply put, who do you serve? What do you offer them that is greater than anyone else? and what comes next. And if we don't understand that, and this ties back all into everything we've been talking about, if you don't understand that at the end of the day, business is relationships and sales is an exchange of value between two or more human beings. If you don't understand how to articulate that value, how to express to a potential customer client, that person sitting across the table from you at a Starbucks or sitting it there looking at their webcam on a Zoom session or whatever have you, the as my first business coach said to me 10 years ago, remember that everyone's favorite radio station is WIIFM. What's in it for me? So by learning how to get them to understand that value, it's not about how much money I want to make. Everybody wants to make money. And the only people who get your money because they want it are probably holding a gun on you. So if I want people to choose to do business with me, then I need to get good at communicating what value I'm offering them. Now, when I have to be honest with you, I didn't start out when I went independent doing web design and online services for people. I did what I did for corporate IT. I set up computer servers, I set up local networks, I configured workstations and all that sort of stuff. Thing was, this is why after 2 years the phone stopped ringing, there's only so much work in my local market for small businesses. I did the work, people were satisfied, and the work was done. It's like a plumber. When your basement's flooded and your toilet's not flushing, that plumber's on speed dial. But after the basement is dry and the toilet's working, I see you when I see you. I'm not calling you every day. So I had to see what is the real value. So when I started doing websites, I would try to sell it based on the technology. I would tell people that WordPress is the #1 content management system on the internet. A third of the internet is based on WordPress. Come on. They're already asleep before I finish the sentence. Does anybody need to know that? It took me 2 or 3 years to realize that here's what people want to hear from me. I can help you save time, make money, and grow your customer base. That's the value that I offer you. Now, see is how you're nodding your head? When I get that reaction, then people lean in and they say, okay, how are you going to do that? Now,
Tell me more.
Based on value, not based on the blobbity blah gigahertz and megabytes that nobody cares about. Nobody wants to know about the how and the platform. You can help me save time, make money, and get more customers. Yes, by clearly and effectively communicating value to the people who are likely who are ready, willing, and able to pay you for the services you offer them. And so the first thing you need to understand is not having a pretty website, but having a website that knows who it's talking to. And right from the jump, from the first banner when that website loads, is having that conversation that gets them to nod their head just like you nodded your head 30 seconds ago. Yeah, ask them a question, make a statement, has them say, yeah. So, for example, if I was designing a website for a gym, I wouldn't say 20 locations in 3 counties and up-to-date equipment. I would say something like, are you ready for the beach this summer? Or want him to look at you like he did when first dating? See, now I think, or you know what I'm saying? Or men, would you like to? Are you embarrassed to take your shirt off at the beach? And I would answer that yes. I got to be honest. So that's going to get my attention. I'm not going to be happy about it, but I'm going to be nodding my head. Okay, so now if you show me that you got a program in 8 weeks, I can get that beach body as a guy. You got my attention. I don't want to read about your elliptical and your this and that and then the high intensity interest rate. No, you got to first get me nodding my head. And that's like, okay, it is March and I still don't feel like taking my shirt off. And it's beach time and my friends are going to be going to the beach and stripping down to their swimming trunks and I'm not doing it. It's going to be 90 degrees out there on the beach, and I'm still going to have my T-shirt on because of my flabby belly looking like I'm in my second trimester. So if the first thing is like, are you, and look, again, that's what I'm saying. Once you've got that, then of course you tell me that you got 20 locations in 3 counties and you got top level equipment. And of course nowadays you'd have to tell me that you practice COVID protocols, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not going to read any of that if you don't get me nodding my head. And that's why that's what I do. I don't just build websites for people. The first conversations I have with them, because I've seen most of my customers and clients, and I like to have clients that already have a website. First of all, I'm lazy. I don't want to have to convince them that they need a website. They already know that they do, and they're coming to me. In fact, the more websites they've had before me, the better, because they already know what doesn't work. So now I'm going to have a conversation with them about what does work. And the first thing I ask them is look at the words on your website. Look at what you're saying to people, and look at the pronouns. Okay, what person are your pronouns? And of course, no, this is not a grammar lesson, but I mean, if most of your pronouns are I, me, we, our, you're doing it wrong because you're talking about yourself. How many websites haven't you seen? We've been in business for 10 years, and our standards are excellence. I don't care. This is what I say to my clients, and in my second book, the book I'm working on now, that I hope to publish by the summer of next year, which is entitled "Everything You Know About Small Business Is Wrong." One of the chapters is yes, one of the chapters is your customers don't care about you. Okay, they don't. It's not about you. It's about them. Stop talking about yourself. And most people who build websites, if I hear and one more customer says, "Well, it looks nice to me," and my answer to that is always, "Are you your customer?"
Oh yeah,
Because if you were your customer, you wouldn't. Yeah, you just pay yourself, you'd be done. No, it doesn't matter what it looks like to you. It matters what it looks like to them. And that's why you got to know who's your target market. Who are you building this website for? If you don't know that, and it's not just websites, who are you doing business with? Do you know that? Do you understand? See, I know I'm doing business with a solo entrepreneur or a very small business that's been in business long enough to be able to afford me, but not so long that they've already got somebody providing those services that I provide. That's why it's between 2 and 7 years. If you've been in business less than 2 years, you can't afford me. You're not ready yet. And you probably haven't even figured out what business you're actually in. So take your time. If you've been in business more than 7 years, you've probably already got an effective website. That's why you've survived for 7 years. You've already got people doing your marketing. You've already got people handling your email campaigning and your funnel design. So you don't need me. But if you're in that sweet spot between 2 and 7 years, and if you're small enough so that you don't have anyone doing that in-house, and I choose to work with businesses that small, because as I said, my background is corporate IT, so I can provide a quality of service to the small entrepreneur that most people who can aren't, because they're looking for the big fish. They're looking for the big ticket. And I'm looking and again, this is a very long-winded way of answering the question, what do I feel is the most important aspect of entrepreneurship? And it's that it gives people the power to control and shape their economic destiny. And that's not just how much money you make. That's the ability to decide who gets elected locally, what businesses you choose to do business with, how stable your entire community is, because it's a known fact that businesses with stable entrepreneurship, stable local business, no, communities with stable businesses have lower truancy, lower levels of street crime, because they have more ownership, they have higher tax values. In fact, the gentleman who founded Operation Hope, the organization that I worked with for 7 years, he made a statement at one of his presentations that surprised me, but he's not wrong. He says, first of all, there is a way, I did not know this, but this is true. You can find out the average credit score of a community. There are websites you can go to and they can tell you. And he said, there has never been a riot in a 700 credit score community. Because in a community where the average credit is 700 or over, most of those people own their homes, own their businesses, have stable jobs and steady careers. And crime is tracked more so than by race, by average credit score, because that's the average economic situation of the average citizen in that community. And if the average credit score is 530 or something, that means these are a lot of people who are in a depressed economic state. They're not stable. They're not upwardly mobile. And I don't say this as a value judgment on them. I say them because we know that the despair that comes from poverty. That's why entrepreneurship is so important to me. It's a social mission to me. It's not for me to become rich and famous. It's about me to be able to do the greatest good in the time I have left. And we were talking earlier, that this year is my 60th year. December 28th, I'm going to be 6 years old. And you asked me what I thought held the next 60 years. I say, okay, pump the brakes. I don't know that I'm going to be here to 120, but I do consider this. I think of my life in terms of groups of 30 years. Okay, and as I said, the first 30 years, as I printed the T-shirt for myself when I was 29, the first 30 years are basic training. So the way I broke it down, the first 30 years are, huh? The second 30 years are, oh. And now looking forward, the next 30 years are, ah. See, because first, in the first 30 years, you're trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Who am I? What am I doing? What am I doing here? What's supposed to be happening? And then from 30 to 60, you're like, oh, okay, hold up a second. I think I get it. And actually, I started my IT career at 32. So that from 32 to now, putting it together, figuring out, growing, developing, improving my skills, increasing my ability to earn, and now in the past 10 years, starting my own business. So now going forward, it's like, I not only know what I can do, I know what I'm here to do. So I already got that I can make money. I'm self-taught in IT. I learned totally on OJT starting in 1993. Bluffed my way through my first interview. What I knew about Unix system administration was how to spell it. I don't know anything about it. Had a cousin of mine, got me the interviews, prepped me up a little bit the way you'd cram for a final in college that you didn't really study during the semester. And I was able to bluff my way through enough of the interviews to get the job. And then I basically worked, studied, traveled, slept, rinse, repeat for 14 months. That's all I did until they hired me from the agency that was sending me there, and thus began my first full-time IT employment, and I never looked back. So now at 60 going forward, I hope to be here till 90 at least. We'll see. I know that beyond just money, I am really here to work with, look, because there's going to be, let's just be real, there's going to be a spate of what I call accidental entrepreneurs, just like me 10 years ago. Subprime mortgage meltdown, took the legs out from my employer. It took them a year to finally lay me off. They let 12 architects go before they let me go. But finally, they had to let me go. There's a bunch of people who are going to find out that their last job was the last job. And whether they want to or not, their only option is going to be to start a business. And like myself, they have no skills, no knowledge, no experience. It was never any of their desire. They liked the job they had. But due to circumstances beyond their or their employer's control, that job is gone. And due to the market and the field that they're in, they're not going to be able to find a job anytime soon that's going to pay them what they need to pay. And so someone is going to have to give them the basics, the fundamentals, the consistent value, the predictable delivery, the replicated method, and help them understand the three fundamental questions. You got to know, who is your market? What do you offer them? And what is the next step? And the next step is not buy my stuff. This is the mistake I made. It's a mistake a lot of businesses make. The way I put it, you don't go from, let's have a Starbucks to Netflix and chill in the same conversation. When I was working with Operation Hope's entrepreneurial development training program, and the reason they had me launch the courses and deliver the first session is because I would ask, usually there's a room of about a dozen and a half aspiring entrepreneurs. And usually about 12 to 18 people, there's usually someone in the room who's married. So I would ask this question as an ontological exercise. I say, who in the room is married? And someone will raise their hand. So I say, okay, two questions. First of all, how long was it from the first date you had with your spouse until you got married? And that's usually 1 or more years. It's usually a period of time. So I say, okay, next question. What would your reaction have been if the second date you had, you got a marriage proposal? And usually it's like, nah, that would have been crazy. And we're talking about the person they're currently married to, but not on the second date. How are you like that? And I would say, yes. Unfortunately, that's what a lot of us tend to do with our sales pitches. We go from seeing somebody nodding their head a little bit to, hey, ready to close the deal? Whoa. We haven't had all the conversations about value.
I don't know you like that.
Yeah, you ain't
Right.
taking me out to dinner and suddenly you getting down on your knee and pulling the box out of your pocket. Pump the brakes, Sparky. Let's settle down there. But when you're just
Right.
starting out, you are so eager, desperate because you need the money. Like I said, a lot of people, they're not just
Mm.
whimsically choosing. They don't have a bankroll, a nest egg set aside. They got bills to pay. The clock is ticking, and they got to go out in there and make that cash. But if they push too hard too fast, they're going to lose sales that they could have. And that's why it's important for the third question, which is what is your call to action? Because a lot of them can get to the point where they'll know who their market is or could be, and they'll know the value. They know what they could offer them. But if they don't understand that your call to action, the what comes next, is not make a pitch and try to make a sale, but it's continue the engagement, is to make sure that you've got an interested and engaged person. And then what are the series of conversations that have to happen in order to take them from a casual contact to a committed customer? That's a process. And if we don't understand that it has to be a process, they're going to, I don't understand it. It looked real positive. And then I had a meeting with them and I didn't hear from them again. Yeah, because you tried to push to close, you tried to close the deal. And that's not the next step in the process. Now, some businesses, it's a 3-step process. It's a very short level thing.
But
My
don't
sort
give
of
them the
business,
whole process. You can't give them the
I
whole
don't,
process. You have to leave them with the sliver of the sizzle. Woo, because this
okay,
conversation
there,
has just
it's
been
trust me,
fire.
I could go another 20 minutes and that's still just a sizzle. That's why I got a whole curriculum of business development, which is under the rubric of small business CPR. Like I said, that's just the introduction. How do you consistently deliver that value? How do you predictably deliver the consistent value? How do you replicate the method? And how do you answer those 3 fundamental questions? That's really just the introductory chapter. And as I said, people can see here scrolling on the bottom of the screen is my website. Now, mostly when you go there to the front page, you're going to see my conversation about building a website for you, but there's also a contact form on that page, and you can get in touch with me. You can pick a date and a time, and you can leave your phone number. We'll have a conversation, and we'll talk about what you need for your business, because I truly feel that I am here in the next 30 years. The moment is to work with as many aspiring entrepreneurs and current entrepreneurs and small businesses to help them level up their game to do business better. That's why that's the title of my first book, and it explores why small businesses fail and how not to, because I needed to learn that. Really, this is what I call a field manual for small businesses, because this is the stuff I wish I knew 10 years ago. And I learned it through the school of hard knocks, bruising my knees and scraping my knuckles, banging my head against the door before I realized what the doorknob was for. And so I wrote it down and put it in a form easy to read, kind of fun, like the way my here now. It's that sort of light tone. It's kind of jovial, but it's all serious stuff. And I break things down, and I have a lot of references. I have 311 references to websites, to resources, to online. If you were to read the book and just read the words, it's a great book. But if you read the book and you go to every reference, and I have a link that goes to, because if you buy the book in digital form, then you can just click the link and you go right to the websites. If you buy the book in print form, there's a website that I have that gives you all of the links by chapter and reference number, so you can go to a particular thing. And I really encourage anyone who would consider buying the book, which is available on Amazon, to trace. If you trace down all 311 links, and some of those are links that take you to other links. So there's thousands of references. There's cheat sheets. There's templates. There's reference sites. That there's everything. And I'm currently in the process of editing the 3rd edition. And each edition, before I publish it, I verify that every single link is live and active. And sometimes I update the links. So from the 1st edition to the 3rd edition, 40% of the links have changed, because it was 4 years ago I wrote the 1st edition. But if you read the book and you go through all 311 of those links, you will get the equivalent of what I call a street level MBA. Because I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I don't have to be. What I am is I'm the guy who did the work, who took the machete when it was nothing but weeds, and I hacked out the trail. Now you're still gonna have to light your torch and follow along that trail, but you're not going to have to cut through the brambles and the brush and the bushes anymore, because I did that for you. And I wrote that book, and I put time, effort, and lots of care, because I feel that that's what people need. There's so many books that want to tell you, it's not a book in telling you what business to go into. I'm not that guy. You have to already have a business. You have to already know what you're doing and who your customers are. But once you have that, this is a book, as it says, to help you do business better. I'm assuming you're already doing business. But if you want to know the mistakes not to make, if you want to know how to adopt a method and a system so that you can do business smarter, faster, better, with less time, effort, and expense, this is the book for you.
Oh my gosh, what a treasure trove of information. Cornell, thank you so very much for stopping by today. And we definitely have to have you come back. Again, his book is available on Amazon. Please visit the website. Give us the recap one more again. Name of your book, where we can get it,
The name of the
and
book,
your website last round.
yes, the name of the book is Do Business Better: Why Small Businesses Fail and How Not to, by Cornell Green. It's available on Amazon, published in September of 2016. Actually, I would advise you to wait until the end of the year. I'm almost done with the 3rd edition edit, which is updated. And again, one more final pass through to make sure all 311 links are updated, relevant, and live and active. I don't want somebody clicking a link and seeing a 404, page not found. And updating it for content. One of the things that I say, I'm probably going to include another link, which is, as I said, in Paris for the 2-day symposium. And when I got back, I saw that there was a tweet with myself and some of my other comrades who went over there on the stage at the Stade de France, and a gentleman who was from the French embassy that posted there. And there was another picture of us the day before in the embassy in Paris, which was the first United States embassy ever, the one that was founded by Benjamin Franklin. What I did until a month ago was that they blew me up on Twitter. They were quoting me almost a dozen times because I was quoting from my book. Now, the quotes were in French, but in Twitter, you can click a link that says translate this link. And I was like, oh, wow. Because, of course, I'm on stage. I don't know what they're tweeting. And they're tweeting me from the moment I hit the stage, and all of the stuff I'm talking about the CPR, talking about the 3 fundamental questions, talking about what I call my game plan. And you're going to have to read the book to find out what that's about. GAME, it's an acronym. And I was like, holy cow. So I'm going to collect all of those tweets and the English language translations and put them on a webpage so people can see, this was pretty phenomenal. And that's why I wrote the book. And apparently they found tremendous value in it. And not to throw shade on any of the other people, the fine and excellent panelists who were there, but no other panelist was quoted as thoroughly from their stage presentations as I was. And I said, this was 4 years ago. I didn't know that, but it's pretty impressive that those tweets were out there. And apparently they found tremendous value in what I was offering there. And what I offered, if I offered that to people who don't even speak the language I'm speaking, and this was to my French compatriots, and this is why we were invited over there to speak on entrepreneurship. And apparently they found what I have to say on entrepreneurship to be of enough value that they tweeted out my quotes real time as they were happening. And as I said, those were mostly quotes from my book. So that's the value that the book has for entrepreneurs everywhere. It was my privilege and pleasure to be flown to another country, courtesy of the United States Embassy and the French Ministry of Cultural Affairs, who sponsored the trip over there. And it was nice. The second time I came back from France, and the second time I came back flown business class, I might add, we were flown there in coach. And so we it's kind of funny. We got there, the group, about half a dozen of us. And so we're getting our tickets, and we're expecting to go to the coach.
To put him
so we're looking
backstage to get all this yummy, juicy extra. You guys are going to have to get the book. I say get the book early and get the newest edition that's coming out. Visit him at communityitsolutions.com. Get the book on Amazon. As you can see, he and I can do this forever. Look, he's going to come back and visit us. Make sure you visit Cornell Green. I'm a dear friend of mine. I'm so very grateful that he stopped by today. We're going to finish this conversation, but we're going to let you guys go. We'll see you guys on the other side of success. All right, we'll see you later. And go get the book. We'll see you next time.
Yes.
Peace.